Hello, Patriots. I'm Lee Watts, and this is Patriot Point, your source for Kentucky news and analysis from a conservative, Christian, and common sense point of view. Well, this week we've just got some crazy things going on. I had planned this nice little program where I had come up with 10 questions that you can ask a political candidate. And that would say if this would be someone you could support or somebody you shouldn't support and look for another candidate. But because of some pressing news, I've had to push that off a week or two. We will be doing that. But some crazy stuff is happening right now. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, people. Over in the public high school in Hazard County, Kentucky, in a official school assembly right there in the gymnasium, the high school boys came out in drag to do lap dances, strip teases, and simulated spankings for some middle-aged men and the teachers that were there at the school. Yes, you heard me correct. They dressed the boys up in drag and had them do strip teases and lap dances. I'm showing you part of the pictures right now. We have masked out all of the children's faces for their own protection. This is crazy stuff. You can't make this kind of stuff up. What in the world were these people thinking? You see, all the adults that were there, and this is in a school assembly, which means multiple layers of people knew about this. And as it's going on, nobody stops it. This is insanity. Now, let's say, just for the sake of argument, that this type of event had happened at a homeschool co-op or maybe at a Christian school assembly. What do you think that the union leadership and those in the KEA would be wanting to do about that? Oh, they'd be demanding the immediate closure of this, the firing of every single person involved. Well, we'll just see what happens when it's the public school system doing that. You can't even make this stuff up. I mean, if you did, nobody believe you. Crazy stuff. Let's talk about something else crazy going on, and that has to do with Andy Beshear. Now, I know you might be thinking, Andy's do something crazy? No way. As Gomer Pyle would have said, surprise, surprise, surprise. Well, no, it's not a surprise at all. Andy is doing something crazy. There is a road as part of the Capitol building complex that goes between the Capitol and what is called the Annex building. This is a road which has been operating and being used since 1909. For 112 years, Kentuckians have been able to use this to get to what is called the People's House. Andy Beshear has decided, I don't want the people to be able to get that close to the Capitol, and so this is blocked off permanently forever. The people are not allowed to use this anymore. Now, is this because there's been some kind of an incident? No, there has been zero incidents, absolutely nothing. There has been nothing that has happened on this road for, I looked it up, the entire 112 years. This road is not even the one that goes by the governor's mansion. That is a different road. And so Andy is just try to keep the people away. I think that's one of the reasons why I closed the Capitol building for so long. He doesn't want the people up there because they'd probably be saying they don't like the job that he is doing. Let's talk about something else that old Andy Bandy is doing right now. He has moved Kentucky into a #1 position, but it's not the kind of #1 position that Kentucky would ever want to have. But Andy Beshear's policy of saying, hey, listen, let's push these shot mandates, and if anybody doesn't get it, then you should fire them. Well, because of that, Kentucky now, according to the National Bureau of Labor Statistics, ranks #1 of every state in the union for people resigning their jobs. There are now 2 open positions that can't be filled for every 1 working Kentuckian. You realize what the policies of Andy Beshear has done. It has moved us to #1 in the absolute worst way. And when you have double the amount of people not working and are living off the benefits and work that is taken from those who are working, it causes the destruction of our precious state. And this is where Andy Beshear's policy have led us. Oh, and by the way, just to throw it in extra, guess which area has the absolute reverse of this? People who are willing to stay on their jobs despite all the shot mandates, that would be Washington, D.C. Well, just something I'd throw in there. Now, speaking of policies that have been backfiring and mandates, Kentucky has been losing a great deal, hundreds of police officers this last year because of these shot mandates. So, police officers saying we are not going to take these. And we are getting in dire straits with the police officers and being a shortage of them because of these mandates. The same thing is happening over there in states that are run by the socialists, such as Illinois. Illinois in the city of Chicago is now having 3,200 police officers about to be fired or walk off the job because of the shot mandates, and they are refusing to get them. Think about this, people. Chicago is one of the most deadly, dangerous cities in the entire country, and they are about to lose 3,200 police officers all at once being fired because they're standing up for their liberty and saying, we will not take this shot. Now, this is having the reverse effect over there in Florida. In Florida, the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, he's telling, hey, all you Kentucky police officers that are losing your job, all you ones from Illinois, anywhere across the country, come down to Florida. And Governor DeSantis is pushing an idea. He wants to give police officers who got fired for refusing to take the shot a $5,000 sign-on bonus if they'll become a police officer somewhere in Florida. Well, that is good government. That is going to increase the safety of the people of Florida. It's also going to be helping to protect the rights of the police officers and everybody else in Florida. Now, as long as we're talking about Florida, let's mention something else. This is a report that came out just here a few days ago, October the 27th. Did you know that Florida is now America's lowest COVID state? It has the lowest rate of COVID-19 in any state in the union. Now, this is interesting extra because, again, Governor Ron DeSantis has prohibited schools and businesses and the government from forcing masks on people or from forcing this shot on people. Now, all of those who keep saying, oh no, mask everybody up, you better make sure they get one of these shots, you would think they would have a major cause to pause, because the state that has pushed back against that the most has the lowest COVID rate of any state in the union. But again, those who are pushing masks and are saying, hey, those are good, they by the way, haven't bothered to read the box. When the box, you can see right here, it says, this will not protect you at all. And yet they're like, well, I want to wear it to protect people. You're denying the science. Says it won't protect you at all. And the state where it says, I'm not going to allow anybody to be mandated these shots, has the lowest positivity rate. And the states which have the highest rates are the ones pushing the vaccine that have the majority of people vaxxed. Just thought I'd throw that in there for free. Now, of course, we have some other problems across the country. This is being pushed in socialist ideas. We're seeing it pushed from Andy Beshear. We're seeing it pushed from Governor Lightfoot over there in Chicago. We're seeing it pushed also in New York. In New York City, just this Monday, there was a massive protest of thousands of city police officers, fire, EMS, and other government employees who marched through the streets and across the Brooklyn Bridge saying no more mandates, no vaccine, hold the line, hold out against this. The mainstream media isn't showing you this information. The mainstream media and the liberal politicians, I didn't say the Democrats, I said the liberals, because there's a lot of Republicans pushing the same thing, and it is radical leftist ideology. To prove this, I'm going to show you two different clips. One of them is a clip of Joe Biden. You know Joe Biden, president in name only, P-I-N-O. President in name only Biden, saying, hey, if you don't get it, then you should be fired. I don't care if you're police. I don't care if you're fire, EMS, fire all of them. And then you're going to see this massive protest over there in New York City. And then I've got a little something extra from the CNN presidential town hall with a quote from Pino Biden. Notice the following clips.
Should police officers, emergency responders, be mandated to get vaccines? And if not, should they be stay at home or let go?
Yes and yes. come on, freedom. No, I mean, come on, freedom.
So you notice two things here. First of all, there were thousands of people protesting against these mandatory shots over there in New York. The press never wants you to know anybody's doing this. They want you to think it's a small little group of people. It is a massive, hundreds of thousands of Americans are pushing back against this. And did you notice there at the end, we showed you the beginning, some of the CNN presidential town hall, how Joe Biden said, freedom? Nah, come on, freedom? And you have somebody who has taken the highest office of the land, literally mocking and making fun of freedom publicly as if it's a joke that people want the freedom to decide what goes into their own bodies. So anybody who is saying, hey, I don't think that we should protect people against these mandates, they should have to take this. Do you realize you have the exact same philosophy then as radical leftist Joe Biden? This is an ultra-radical left idea, and anybody who calls himself a conservative needs to immediately switch on this and say, listen, this should be a right of people to choose or not to choose. And that leads to two last things this week. First of all, you'll notice this presidential town hall was on CNN. You might not have heard about it because nobody's watching CNN. The reports came out for the ratings of all the different cable companies. And in the first 2 weeks of October, CNN's ratings have rated them that they have not received even 1 million views for any of their broadcasts. They did not even reach 1 million. There's YouTube videos that reach more than 1 million views. At one time, CNN was the #1 news source. Well, that day is over, because there are little more than 331 million Americans. And CNN can't even get 1 million to watch any of their programs. So if you think about, run the numbers, that means that 0.3% of Americans actually watch CNN. Well, if you really want to be technical, less than 0.3% of Americans watch CNN. So this idea, when you click through it and you see all this liberal trash coming out and thinking, oh, well, this is what a lot of the country thinks. Not so, not so, not so. Less than 0.3% of people in America are actually watching that stuff. And so, by the way, on our final thing tonight, I want to show you this video I ran across, which is absolutely beautiful. It's talking about people who are shy on wanting to take injections that the government is pushing, and gives you some wonderful historical analysis and references saying, hey, the U.S. government has an absolutely atrocious track record on injecting you with things that later turn out to be the worst thing you could possibly do. It's almost like the best thing you could do is follow what Florida is saying and not push it. So here's a little video for you, and then we'll have a closing thought.
Dear white liberals, 28% of black Americans aged 18 to 44 years old are vaccinated in New York, meaning the vaccine passports deny over 72% of the black community their services. Since you think voter ID is racist, you must surely think that vaccine passports are as well. But you don't. Instead, you want to demonize everyone who refuses the COVID-19 vaccine. So let me tell you exactly why the black community is the most resistant to this vaccine. Let's go back to a time when the government decided that the blacks would be used as guinea pigs without their knowledge. From 1932 to 1972, the government conducted the infamous Tuskegee experiment on black men in an attempt to understand the effects of syphilis. Participants were told that they were being treated for bad blood. We were lied to. From 1965 to 1966, the government conducted experiments on prisoners, the majority of them being black, to understand the effects of Agent Orange. Prisoners were told that this was simply dermatology research. We were lied to. From 1960 to 1971, the government conducted Cold War radiation experiments on poor black cancer patients in an attempt to gain an understanding on how much radiation the human body could take. Patients were told that this would help cure their cancer. Once again, we were lied to. The list of atrocities and deceit goes on. Yet, white liberals seem to think that they know what's best for us. The truth is, black Americans have authority over our own bodies, not you. We're tired of being controlled, manipulated, and lied to. The bottom line is this: we truly won't know the effects of this vaccine for at least a few years. After all that we've been through, we are allowed to be skeptical. So my question to you, white liberals, is why are you applauding forced vaccinations on those who don't trust it? On those who come from a lineage of trauma due to dark history? I thought Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, I thought Black Lives Matter to these liberals pushing these shot mandates. I guess not. So that's the information we have for you this week. Make sure you tune in each and every week to Patriot Point to get this kind of news and analysis that you're not going to get anywhere else. And until next week, I'm Lee Watts for Patriot Point, reminding you that liberty is not a spectator sport.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.